Bring your glasses, Nafis, please. You got a cup, Khalid? Pass me one. Got the recorder? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. He took the glass right when we said what? Of Allah misguides? Huh? No one can guide. طيب خير إن شاء الله. Tonight's lesson, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're reading from لؤلؤ المرجان فيما اتفق عليه الشيخان. Hadith on Bukhari and Muslim. Last night's درس ما الذي ذكرنا يا جميل من الفوائد والأحكام والآداب والمسائل. اذكر لنا شيئا واحدا مما ذكرناه بالأمس. حكم واحد، فائدة واحدة. لا تذكر شيئا. لا تذكر. لماذا لا تذكر يا صالح؟ بالعربي. طيب خير إن شاء الله. سفيان. طيب خالد. Yusuf. طيب, what did we mention last night, Abu Sharif? One of the rulings we mentioned. Anything. We spoke on the issue of the permissibility of marrying a girl with or without her consent. With or without her consent. Whether she's young, whether she's old, whether she's a virgin, whether she's non-virgin. The ins and the outs and the details of these issues. Khairan inshallah. What else did we discuss, Yusuf? That we benefit from those hadiths. The hadith of Abi Hurairah. And then the hadith of Ibn Abbas. That the wali is mandatory. Those ulama who hold the view that the wali is mandatory and it's a condition, that's from their proofs and from their evidences. Those two hadiths. طيب, what else did we mention last night? Sharif. Salli. طيب. Wais.
We spoke about the three different age groups, 6, 9, and 16, I believe. And we also spoke about having the proper age before the husband being intimate with the
with his wife, no matter what her age is, her physical capability. طيب خير أحسنت. And we mentioned many other things as well. We mentioned what? Many other things. Well, جزاكم الله خيرا. طيب. Moving forward. Tonight's lesson, it says here, باب جواز غسل الحائض رأس زوجها وترجيله. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها زوج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنها قالت: وإن كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يدخل علي رأسه وهو في المسجد فأرجله، وكان لا يدخل البيت إلا لحاجة إذا كان معتكفا. حديث عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت: كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يباشرني وأنا حائض، وكان يخرج رأسه من المسجد وهو معتكف فأغسله وأنا حائض. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها أنها حدثت أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يتكئ في حجري وأنا حائض ثم يقرأ القرآن. اقرأ جميل الحديث الثلاثة بالعربي قراءة صحيحة. Make sure you concentrate and focus. At the same time, don't think about it at all. Think but don't think. Think but what? But don't think. تفضل.
حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها زوج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قالت: وإن كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يدخل علي رأسه وهو في المسجد فأرجله، وكان لا يدخل البيت إلا لحاجة إذا كان مؤتمرا.
أحسنت.
حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت: كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يباشرني وأنا حائض، وكان يخرج رأسه من المسجد وهو معتكف فأغسله وأنا حائض.
Think about it, but what? You're thinking about it too much now. You're getting nervous. Let it flow naturally with concentration. Last but not least, it's your last stand. 1 was excellent. 2, you started to shake. Let's see what you do on 3. Bismillah. That's your nafs inside you. We may call it other things, huh, Sharif? Other names and titles. That thing inside your head that's telling you, no, like this. Is it فَأَغْسِلَهُ فَيُبَاشِرُ? Don't listen to that thing inside of you. Bismillah.
حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها حدثت أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يتكئ في حجري وأنا حائض ثم يقرأ القرآن.
طيب بارك الله فيكم. اقرأ صالح.
حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها زوج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قالت
أنها قالت
وإن كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يدخل علي رأسه وهو في المسجد فأرجله، وكان لا يدخل البيت إلا لحاجة إذا كان معتكفا.
أحسنت.
حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها أنها قالت: كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يباشرني وأنا حائض، وكان يخرج رأسه من المسجد وهو معتكف فأغسله وأنا حائض. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها حدثت
أنها حدثت. Remember that, Sharif? Jamil? Naam? See the practicality? أنها حدثت.
أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يتكئ في حجري وأنا حائض ثم يقرأ القرآن.
طيب أحسنتم. خالد اقرأ.
حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها زوج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قالت: وإن كانت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يدخل علي رأسه وهو في المسجد فأرجله، وكان لا
وكان لا يدخل البيت إلا لحاجة إذا كان معتكفا. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يباشرني وأنا حائض وكان يخرج رأسه من المسجد وهو معتكف فأغسله وأنا حائض. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها أنها حدثت أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يتكئ في حجري وأنا حائض ثم يقرأ القرآن.
طيب اقرأ. We need the translation now, Jamil.
Hadith number 172. Narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, used to lay his head in the house while he was in the mosque, and I would comb and oil his hair. And in his etiquette, he used to not enter the house except for a meeting. Hadith number 173, narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to embrace me during my menses. He also used to let his head out of the mosque while he was in etiquette, and I would wash it during my menses. Hadith number 174, narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to lean on my lap during my menses, and then he would recite Quran.
طيب. It says here, Babu Jawazi Ghasl al-Ha'idhi Ra'sa Zawjiha wa Tarjilihi. A menstruating woman is allowed to wash her husband's head and to comb his head or hair. In this chapter, he's going to speak about the permissibility of a few things. The first is that it is permissible. It's not haram. It's permissible for a woman who's menstruating to do certain things. Those things are to touch, to wash, to comb her husband's head who's in the masjid. Now, before we go any further, we have to understand a few things. And that is that this book is a book of specific ahadith. Ahadith on Bukhari and Muslim only. There are advantages to a book like this, and there are disadvantages to a book like this. From the advantages of a book like this, first and foremost is the authenticity, is the ease, the accessibility of the hadith, the difficulties of the sahih, da'if, fulan, easy, simple, clear. One source, one clear, authentic source. Everybody understand this? With regards to the layman Muslim. With regards to what? The layman Muslim. Now, as far as the disadvantage of a book like this, then it's obvious. And that is the hadith on wudu, on wiping over the leather socks, making a ghusl, menses, any issue of fiqh. There isn't a hadith on every issue that's found in Bukhari and Muslim. So if you wanted to study the issue of menses from step 1 to step 10, from letter A to B, C, D, E, F, G, so on and so forth, you're not going to find a hadith that's in Bukhari and Muslim for what? Every issue. You're going to find a hadith in Bukhari and Muslim for issue number 1, issue number 3, issue number 7, and then that's it. Issue number 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10 in Sahih Muslim. Just Sahih Muslim. Everybody understand this? Riyadh, you paying attention? You with me? You're going to find the proof, the deleted from the Sunnah, issue number 5, just in Sahih Bukhari, but not in Bukhari and Muslim. You're going to find the hadiths for issue 9 and 10 in Musnad Ahmed, Muwatta Malik, Sunan Abi Dawud. Everybody understand this or not? Once again, from the advantages of the book is the ease, the simplicity, and the authenticity of the book. All of these hadiths are agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. Everybody understand this? That's a major fa'idah. And that's one way of studying. And this is why we have the Bulugh al-Maram lessons. Because every single issue of fiqh, you are not going to find a hadith that's what? In Bukhari and Muslim. That's what? Collected by Bukhari and Muslim. There's some issues that are only found where? In Sahih Muslim. Before you even get out of the Sahihain, but not agreed upon. Imam al-Bukhari collected this hadith and not what? Imam Muslim. Imam Muslim collected hadith and not Imam al-Bukhari. let alone the hadith on the issues that are outside of Bukhari and Muslim. Everybody understand this? If a man has sexual intercourse with his menstruating wife, is there an expiation that he has to make? Is there a kafara? Do you just make tawbah, astaghfirullah, or is it something that you have to pay? You're not going to find a hadith that supports that. Where? We're not going to find a hadith in this book, Bukhari and Muslim together. You may find it hypothetically, even though it isn't, but I'm saying it may be just in Bukhari. Everybody understand this? And if it's a hadith that's only in Sahih Bukhari, you're not going to. We got this? Are we awake? Everybody up or not? If it's a hadith that's only in Sahih Bukhari, it's not going to be what? In this book. Even if it's Sahih and it's in Sahih Bukhari, but it's not going to be what? In this book. If it's hadith only in Sahih Muslim, you're not going to find it in this book. Let alone if it's a hadith that's only been collected by the people besides Bukhari and Muslim. Not saying that it has to be weak or da'if, but it's not in Sahihain. Tirmidhi, Sunan Abi Dawud, Muwatta Malik, which are all in English. You're not going to find a hadith where? In this book. So this is not a complete mode of studying fiqh and studying the fiqh of hadith. This only gives you a what, ways? Not even that. Not even a basic understanding. Nah, because a basic understanding will give you a complete package. The rulings of menses from A to what? Simplified. Entering the masjid, touching the mushaf, having sexual intercourse, kada, 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 kada. And you're not going to find all of those hadiths that are in where what? Bukhari and Muslim. You're not going to find all of those hadiths what? In Bukhari and Muslim. So this gives you a simple package, but only a selection, a snippet, a slice of it. Everybody understand this? And if you wanted the full tasawwur of what to do from A to Z, even if it's simple and abridged, you're going to have to look in a book like Bulugh al-Maram or Sunan Abi Dawud. Or you're going to study a book, the actual fiqh book that talks about menses, point A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Whether it's agreed upon or not, sahih or not, correct view or not, but it's giving you a listed what? Listed steps. And that's not the case with this book. We started off the book of menses. A man making mubashara, touching his wife from above the izar. It doesn't say anything about any other rulings of menses. When do menses start? At what age? What's the youngest a girl can have menses? Naam? Everybody understand this? What's the oldest woman can menses? What's the sign of menses? It doesn't discuss that. Why not? Because what? Because the hadiths that talk about those issues are not what? Agreed upon. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? So we started off with just a random sporadic issue of menses. And there are other issues that are much more important than this. Such as a woman who has a menstrual cycle who's not married. There's no man coming to her, touching her, sleeping her, inshallah. And she has to know the rulings of what? Salah, fasting, Quran. But you're not going to find that what? Why not? Aywa. Everybody understand this? You may find a hadith just in Sahih Bukhari. So this goes to show you the concept of the student of knowledge studying things completely and for a period of time. Everybody understand this? Completely in what? A period of time. It's impossible to go overseas for a year, 2 years and master everything. Everybody understand this? When do you have time to learn Arabic, Quran, Tajweed, Lugha, Tariq, Seerah, this, that? Let alone be an expert master of it. Come back to America. I'm the Imam of America. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't what? It's impossible. Unless you're somebody that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has truly given a special what? Gift. Would you say what? The memory challenge? Photographic memory, something like that. And even then, it's not just about memory. It takes years for this, as we say. It takes what? It takes years for this. Everybody understand this or not? Everybody clear on this? So you study Bulugh al-Maram. You study Lul Marjan. You have this fiqh class, you have that. And then at the end of the day, what does it all do, Yusuf? It all comes together. And it's all blended together. You know the rulings of menses from A to Z based off of the fiqh. You know the rulings of menses from A to Z based off of what? Hadiths. Whether Bukhari, Muslim, everybody understand this? You know the issues of which the ulama agree, and you know the issues of which the ulama differ. You know the modern day issues, you branch it off, you break it off. Everybody understand this? So it's very important for a student of knowledge to always overlap his ilm. Everybody understand this? I studied this book of Tajweed with you, and I studied with someone else, and I learned here, and I went there, and that way it does what? So any gap, anything that you missed, any piece that you left out is what? Just like painting a wall. What do they do with the wall? How many times do they paint it? Just once. Several what? Several coats. For what purpose? It's no spot missing. The entire wall is painted thick. Then you put the gloss on top of it, and so on and so forth. And it's what? Done. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this? And it's what? It's done. The ilm has to be thorough. It has to be what? It has to be thorough. That way you make sure that nothing is what? Overlooked. Nothing is what? Overlooked. And once you have completed your studies, you've studied in Yemen for these amount of years. I was in Egypt for these amount of years. I went to this country. And you go back to your country, it doesn't stop as well. It's not over. You're still a student of knowledge. The people call you Sheikh, Imam. You still have to live with these what? These books day and night. Reading them, studying them, researching, debating with your friends, with your students, fighting, sparring. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? You stay sharp. Let alone review and revision of what you studied 10 years ago, what you studied 15 years ago. Because you forget. You become rusty. You become dull. And you become complacent. Especially if you're in a place in Canada and the UK in which nobody knows anything. And you're the most knowledgeable person in the land. If Allah doesn't give you the tawfiq, you may become lazy and relaxed. I don't need to study this book anymore because everybody's basic 9 to 5 Muslim. Everybody understand this? I lose my hunger, I lose my thirst because, I'm just a general imam. And a year turns into 5, 5 turns into 10. Next thing you know, you're rusting, you're dull. Everybody understand this? So you remain what? Sharp. You have to practice. You have to make review. And you have to make sure that what you left out, what you didn't get, what the sheikh didn't explain, you cover it in a what? Another book, another class, another what? A mode. Everybody understand this or not? فهمت هذا صالح? And this is of extreme importance for every single person who wishes to benefit from knowledge. طيب. So let's move forward. بإذن ta'ala. It says here, the permissibility for a woman to do this. Rubbing, washing, combing her husband's head while she's mincing and while her husband is in the masjid. طيب. The first hadith is narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha. She says, وإن كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يدخل علي رأسه وهو في المسجد فأرجله وكان لا يدخل البيت إلا لحاجة إذا كان معتكفا. She said that the Messenger of Allah would take his head and he would stick it out the window or the door. And I would comb it, oil it, whatever. And he was in the masjid and I was what? In my home. The masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, the houses, the apartments, the chambers were what? Connected. Everybody clear on this or not? So hypothetically speaking, here in this masjid, hypothetically speaking, Salih, you stick your head out the back window. Or you open up the door. You're making itikaf. Your wife comes and she combs your hair and combs your beard. You're making itikaf. Your wife is what? In the back. Everybody understand this? Or the side window. Or the front door. Or the sister's side. We got this or not? Everybody paying attention? Everybody clear on this or not? The meaning of the hadith. Tayyib, is that she didn't enter the masjid. She was mincing. She was menstruating. The Prophet was making itikaf, but her hand what? It was in the masjid. Or the Prophet's head was up. Everybody understand this? We clear on this or not? Sharif, you sure? Tayyib, moving forward. The next hadith says, Hadith Aisha radiallahu anha قالت كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يباشرني وأنا حائض وكان يخرج رأسه من المسجد وهو معتكف فأغسله وأنا حائض. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ كان يباشرني. He would touch me. He would be intimate with me while I was mincing, as we explained before. And he used to take his head and put it out of the masjid, and he was making it i'tikaf, and I would wash it while I was mincing. Last but not least, the third hadith of the chapter says, Hadith Aisha radiallahu anha أنها حدثت أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يتكئ في هجري وأنا حائض ثم يقرأ القرآن. That the Messenger of Allah ﷺ would lean on my lap and I was mincing. He would recite the Quran and I was mincing. The first hadith, hadith number 172, speaks on وَكَانَ لَا يَدْخُلُ الْبَيْتَ إِلَّا لِحَاجَةٍ إِذَا كَانَ مُعْتَكِفًا. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ would never enter someone's house, would never leave when he was making what? I'tikaf. إِلَّا لِحَاجَةٍ, a need. which will explain this point later on. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully we make it to the book of Siyam and i'tikaf, what's meant by that, and the rulings of i'tikaf. If you make i'tikaf, can you leave the masjid for a necessity or a need? If you make i'tikaf, can you make a stipulation upon yourself between you and Allah that if there's a janazah, I'll follow the janazah and it doesn't break my i'tikaf? I make a condition, a stipulation, that if there's a sick person that needs to be visited, I will visit him without it breaking my i'tikaf. Is that permissible or not? We'll get to that later on, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Right now, and before we move on any further, Khalid, there's another hadith that's not mentioned here. With regards to, it's not mentioned here in this chapter, on which the Messenger of Allah said, Inna haydataki laysat fi yadaki. He says, your mince is not in your hand. You're mincing, but it's not upon your hand. Her hand touching his head, her hand going into the window or the door of the masjid, not like her physical what? Body going into the masjid. Everybody understand this? So these hadiths here, we benefit from them the following fawaid and ahkam. Number one is that a mincing woman is not considered to be najisa. She isn't filthy. She is not ritually filthy, nor is she physically filthy or impure. However, there's a certain part on her, a part of her body, that is physically impure and ritually impure. Everybody understand this? But her body, her hand, her head, her leg, her feet, as we mentioned before as well. From one thing, you learn what? It all comes together. Touching your wife that's mincing, sitting, leaning on her lap, her touching your hair. The najasa is not on those parts of her body. Everybody understand this? But it's in one part of her body. And she is ritually impure. She cannot make wudu. She's not to make the ghusl until she's to stop the minces, the ritual ghusl, making salat, fasting, etc. because she's spiritually impure. She has hadith and not khabath. Khabath is physical and hadith is what? Metaphysical. Everybody understand this? So it proves that the mincing woman is not physically najisa, in refutation of anyone who went against Islam, whether it's the Jews, those who follow them, Rastafarians, whatever your aqidah or your madhab or your deen is. Rastafarian movement, religion, whatever you want to call it. Those who say that a mincing woman is what? Stay away. She has to go into another part of the house. She has to go into outside of the house. Don't touch my food, so on and so forth. This is all what? False Islamically. This is all what? False what? Islamically. Everybody understand this? Khairan inshallah. The next fa'idah or ruling from this hadith or these hadiths is the permissibility for a woman to visit a man making the i'tikaf. And it's not necessarily what? Haram. It's not what? Haram. Everybody say it's not what? It's not haram. Also the permissibility for a man to lean on a mincing woman. And for a man to recite the Quran lying down. It's not haram. And we've explained this before with regards to the hadith culture and the culture of the qurra, the reciters of the Quran. There are many things, walillahi alhamd, in which the qurra do that are from the sunnah, walillahi alhamd. From the sunnah, the things that they've learned from the hadith. And we said that there are many things that they do, and they have a set of rules that are specific to them, which they didn't get from the authentic hadith, maybe they didn't even get from the fuqaha, and which is from their way and their practice, things that they consider things that you should and shouldn't do. And some of them, not all of them, but some of them, they may say, you can't recite the Quran lying down. It's makruh to do that. It's haram to do that. You can't recite the Quran unless you're sitting up facing the Qibla. You'll find this. Some of them, they may say this. This hadith clearly what? Falsifies that. Muhammad ﷺ, he did it. Not the Sahaba, but Muhammad did it himself. Everybody understand this or not? Also, reciting the Quran near najasa. He put his head on her what? On her lap, her leg, which is close to the place of the blood. Everybody understand this? Which we'll get into bi'idhnillah when we read the kalam of Nawawi. Another fa'idah from this hadith, especially hadith number 174, is the concept of a man being close to his wife, being soft and kind with his wife. Everybody understand this? And if you want to call it sharif, you can say what? Islamic romance. Islamic what? Sunnah romance. He was reciting the Quran. He was on what, Abu Sharif? Lying on her leg. Everybody understand this? She's getting the benefit of the Quran, listening to the Quran, making the dhikr, and at the same time he was what? Close with his wife. Everybody understand this? So this is recommended for a man to do. You be nice with your wife, be kind to your wife. Everybody understand this? You're taking these lessons, Sharif? I hope you are, inshallah. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Tayyib Jameel? There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing what? There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody understand this? You go home, Riyadh, with your wife. I'll study this in the Quran class. Me and Khalid. You may not mention Khalid's name in your house, but you understand this? Khairan, inshallah. This is a fa'idah from what? From this hadith. And somebody may say, in my culture, we don't do this. A man doesn't lie on his wife's lap. Warriors don't do this in my culture. It's a shame. Some people, they may say this. It's disgraceful to recite the Quran near my mincing woman. We're not nice. That's fine. That's your culture. La bas. But that's not the culture of what? Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Everybody understand this? And there are many other, 100 other examples of the cultural practice. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did what? Totally different. Such as divorce. Somebody says, in my culture, a woman gets divorced, that's it. Khalas. She'll never be with another man again. It's shameful. It's dishonorable for her to have a husband and divorced and remarried. It's horrible. Everybody understand that? Tayyib, that's your culture, that's fine. But that's not the culture of what? Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, who married women that were divorced. Everybody understand this? When they got married, divorced, the Sahaba were asking about it the next day. Oh, Messenger of Allah, is she permissible to marry? Well, how can that? So there are many different issues and examples we can make of a cultural clash with the authentic sunnah. And it's one of the biggest problems among the Muslims today. There's no doubt about that. When you travel, you sit, you learn, you study, you benefit with, you live with the Muslims, you see this. And oftentimes the culture has total dominance over sunnah. We said there's some cultural practices in which the sunnah, they're what? Hand in hand, alhamdulillah. There's nothing wrong with that. Some cultural practices in which there is no specific sunnah about. Do what you want. You want to eat lamb, you want to eat chicken, you want to be a vegetarian, that's fine. Nothing wrong with it as long as there's no hadith against it. And there's some cultural practices that are what? Left. And the sunnah is, and that's a problem. And most people, they take precedence what? Of the what? Culture over the sunnah. Let alone taboo. That which is culturally taboo. Okay? The people don't say it's haram, ittaqillah. This is from the major sins. You can't do that. Allah will be angry. They say what? It's bad. Aib. Culturally bad. Culturally looked down upon. Everybody understand this? You can't do that because the people will see. They'll say this. Hadithun nas. Hadithun nas. They say it's overseas. The people will talk. They'll say, look what's going on in Fulan's house. My daughter, my son. And now once do they say what? The one above all of, the arsh, all of creation is what? He's angry with you. Everybody clear on this or not? And this is very harmful because when the people leave that cultural environment, that cultural bubble, and they interact with non-Muslims or other cultures, there is nothing because it's not haram. It's not bad, but it's what? And I'm not in my country anymore. So, bismillah, of hijab, of the beard, and of many things like this. Praying Jum'ah, boyfriend and girlfriend, and the list goes on. Everybody understand this or not? Everybody understand this? So we have to reinforce always, this is sunnah first and foremost. After being sunnah, alhamdulillah, this was the practice of the Muslims in Guyana for 500 years. Well, alhamdulillah. The Muslims have inherited this and they've practiced it. So don't do nothing different, Saleh. You graduate from Medina, don't come back trying to change it. This is the sunnah and it's also the what? The well-known practice of the Muslims in Guyana. It's nothing what? It's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. And keep it as it is and let the people continue to practice the sunnah. Everybody understand this? And if not, then it's a whole different, what? Whole different story. Khairin, inshallah. Let's move forward. The hadith or the narration, or even these three hadiths here, and specifically the narration in which the Messenger of Allah says that your mince is not in your hand, is from the Dalil Nafis of those ulama who say that a mincing woman is not allowed to go into the masjid. Those ulama who hold the view that a mincing woman is banned from the masjid while she's mincing. They say this or these hadiths are from those evidences. Whereas Aisha did not what? Into the masjid. Rather the Prophet ﷺ, I understand this, let alone the narration which he says that your mince is not in your hand. In other words, Aisha radiallahu anha was in the thought, she was trained to think, she was already thinking that my hand cannot what? Like the rest of my body. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that your mince is not what? In your hand. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? We understand how to use that hadith to state that a mincing woman is not allowed to go to the masjid while she's menstruating. Everybody clear on that? First and foremost, they say she's ritually impure, spiritually impure. Secondly, they say that the masjid is to be kept safe and protected from physical impurities, the blood of menses, as we mentioned, is najis, according to all of the ulama. Everybody understand this? And that's why it says that your mens is not where? In your hand. Don't worry about it. There's no blood on your hand. Everybody understand this? So this is one of the dalil, not the only proof, but one of the proofs and evidences of those fuqaha, most of the ulama, hold the view that a mensy woman is not what? Allowed into the masjid while she's menstruating. Everybody understand this? And then they have different details with regards to, is it permissible for her to sit in, to make wudu and sit in the masjid for a short period of time? Is it permissible for her to pass through the masjid? The masjid, is there a road through it or something like this? She has to get something. She has to get her son. She has to give you something to waste. Everybody understand this? Or she's totally banned from the masjid. They differ on the details on those things. The chart, now. And the other ulama hold the view of the exact opposite. That it's permissible for a woman to enter into the what? While she's menstruating. And some of them may use this hadith against him. And they may say, due to the fact that he said your menses aren't in your hands, or they're not upon your hand, it proves that if a woman is clean and there's no fear of any type of blood or anything soiling the masjid, then come into the masjid. Especially in the modern times, 2016, and when there's so many different ways women use and things that are used to prevent soiling of their clothes, let alone. Everybody clear on this? So that's a long discussion, which we're not here to mention right now. We're just giving you the brief summarized view. Two views of the ulama. Some say yes, and some say what? No. Khair inshallah. Moving forward. The next chapter says, Babul Madhi. حديث علي رضي الله عنه قال كنت رجلا مذاء فاستحييت أن أسأل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فأمرت المقداد بن الأسود فسأل فقال فيه الوضوء. It says here, chapter 4, prostatic discharge. Narrated Ali radiallahu anhu. I used to get emotional urethral prostatic discharges frequently and felt shy to ask Allah's Messenger sallallahu about it. So I requested Al-Miqdad bin Al-Aswad radiallahu anhu to ask the Prophet sallallahu about it. Al-Miqdad radiallahu anhu asked him, and he replied, one has to perform wudu after it. A very technical translation. It says here, Babul Madhi, the chapter of Al-Madhi. Iqra Salih. La, not Salih. Brother Khan. Bismillah. علي حديث علي علي علي
حديث علي رضي الله عنه قال كنت رجلا مثاء فاستحييت أن أسأل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فأمرت المقداد بن الأسود فسأله فقال فيه الوضوء.
أحسنت جزاك الله خير. Very good job. طيب فضل يوسف. Ahsan, jazakumullah khairan. Right. Before we move on any further, let's read the kalam of Nawawi rahimahullah regarding those previous ahadith. Nawawi rahimahullah, he says here, وفي هذا الحديث فوائد كثيرة تتعلق بالاعتكاف وسيأتي في بابه إن شاء الله تعالى. ومما تقدمه أن فيه أن المعتكف إذا خرج بعضه من المسجد كيده ورجله ورأسه لم يبطل اعتكافه. وأنا من حلف أن لا يدخل دارا ولا طيب. He says here, first and foremost, for why those previous hadith is that if a mu'takif sticks his leg or foot or hand out of the masjid, it doesn't break his i'tikaf. And the other details of the i'tikaf will be mentioned بإذن ta'ala later on. He then says, وفيه جواز استخدام الزوجة في الغسل والطبخ والخبز وغيرها برضاها. طيب. He then says here, طيب ماشي. Move forward inshallah. Let's move forward. Bismillah. طيب. Al-Muhim, this next chapter says Bab al-Madhi. And it says here Kitab al-Hayd. It says the chapter of Hayd. But now it's talking about something that has nothing to do with Hayd. Nothing to do with menses. And that is al-Madhi. We explained before in those classes the differences with regards to discharge, fluid, wetness, moistness that comes from a male and also that comes from a female. As far as a male, then there are four main things. Very important to understand these. Four. Number one is al-bawl, actual urine. Urine, when it leaves a man's penis, it has its rulings. Wudu, washing, ghusl, najasa, etc. The whole list of what? Rulings. Everybody understand this? When a man urinates, everybody clear on this or not? What happens now? Do you have to make wudu? Can you read the Quran? If it soils your clothes, etc. It's a whole list of what? Ahkam. It's the first category of fluid or discharge or wetness, however term you want to give it, that comes out of a man's penis. Number two, al-mani, semen. And some may even say sperm. And there's difference on English, what's semen, sperm, is sperm inside of semen, etc. Because there's very long technical difficulty there with regards to mani and madhi. So we'll just keep it mani, say semen. When semen leaves a man's penis, what happens? There's a set of what? Rulings, ahkam, that now are applied. Once the mani has left your body, wudu, ghusl, salah, talaq, hajj, umrah, etc. Everybody clear on this or not? This is how you get the fiqh what? You with me, Nafis? Everybody understand this systematically. There's a list of what? Rulings. Number three is al-madhi. Al-madhi, which some call seminal fluid. Some call it pre-ejaculatory fluid. Some say copper's fluid. A list of names and titles that has some say pre-cum. When pre-ejaculatory fluid comes out of you, there's now a what? List of rulings that apply to that. Everybody understand this? Last but not least is al-wadi. Al-wadi, which is a type of clear fluid that comes after urination. That comes after what? Urination. And that has a list of rulings. Everybody understand this? This is with regards to a man. As far as with regards to a woman, then that which leaves her body, that which comes out of her private area, her vagina, of fluid, of discharge, of wetness, the different types. First and foremost is bowl, urine, same as man. Then mani. Does a woman have semen? Does a woman have mani? Does a woman have madhi, ejaculatory fluid? It's very important to understand. Everybody understand this? Does a woman have wadi? Or does a woman have a separate list or separate categories and types of wetness and moistness that comes from her vagina? This is the difference between among the ulama and among those physicians, non-Muslims and Muslims alike. The wetness that comes from a woman, is it pre-ejaculatory fluid or not? Or is it something else? Everybody clear on this? And there's a whole list of what? Rulings that pertain to that. If a woman has wudu, she becomes moist and wet, does she have to break her wudu, make wudu, wash her underwear, etc. Everybody clear on this or not? There's a list of what? Rulings. That if you're a single man, you should know for yourself. If you're aspiring to get married, Sharif, you should what? You should know. If you are married, you should what? You should know. You should have the fiqh to tell your wife. The basic fiqh to what? Explain to your wife. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? And there are many difficulties and hardships that you may fall into because you just don't know. And there are many things of intimacy that you may not be able to enjoy because of your ignorance. Everybody understand this? The virtue of what? Even in the bedroom. Everybody clear on this? This is very important, wallahi. It's very important. The virtue and the superiority of ilm, Yusuf, what? Even in the bedroom. Man yuridillahu bihi khayran, faqihu fi din. The hadith says, whom Allah wants good for, He gives them what? Fiqh of the deen. That hadith is not restricted to one concept of khair, of goodness. It's not. It's not just talking about good in the masjid, good in the marketplace, good on the football field, good at school. No. Men yuridillahu bihi khayran. Whomever Allah wants good for, He gives them what? Fiqh al-deen. In all aspects of what? Life. What to do? I don't know. I have an embarrassing, unsightly situation. My wife, it's 12 a.m., 11 p.m., whatever. You got to get on the phone. It's the reality. Assalamu alaikum, mufti, listen, this happened, kada, kada, my wife, what's the ruling? Who wants to do that? It's embarrassing. It's time consuming. Everybody understand this? We're here or not? Everybody clear this? Something that's beyond your grasp, that's a different story. But the basic, simple ABCs, you should what? You should know. Everybody understand this? Khairan, inshallah. So therefore, when a woman gets these types of fluids or discharge or wetness or whatever, blood, etc., what is the ruling? Everybody clear on this? So this chapter is talking about al-madhi. Al-madhi. Everybody understand this? Another very important concept, Salih, is that when we study fiqh, as we said many times before, we can never ever leave off and forget about the spirituality of studying fiqh and the wisdom of how Allah made the human body. Everybody clear on this? And from that is that which is mentioned in the medicine, or in medicine with regards to the fa'idah, the purpose of this type of fluid. What it does, why it comes before semen. The fa'idah with regards to you going to your wife becoming pregnant, the semen, the sperm, urine being acidic. Everybody understand this? Semen being based off of alkaline. How it smooths the way and prepares everything for your wife to become pregnant. It's amazing. When you read this, I'm not a doctor. I'm not learning in these things. Okay? I can't mention the big, super duper terminologies that they throw around. That's not what I do. But you'll be shocked when you read the different wisdoms of this. Why Allah created this in a man's body. Everybody understand this? So it's a hikmah. So due to the fact that there's rulings, there's do and there's don't, there's halal and there's haram, that shows you that Islam is complete. And that the deen and the sharia is natural. And nothing about the sharia is what? Unnatural. And it goes hand in hand with how Allah made the human being. Everybody understand this? The woman, we have Salih in front of us. He can tell us much more than and better than this. You correct me if I say something wrong. The wisdom behind her experiencing wetness and moistness, what that does. What is the fa'idah of that? And the simplicity of that with regards to the intercourse, the pleasure in the intercourse, and also the bigger picture of how what? Conceiving and becoming pregnant. Now I'm sorry. So it's very important for us never to lose focus of the spirituality. We only study fiqh and learn fiqh to do what? To get close to Allah. And not to just memorize and then have terms, khilaf and fulan and fulan. No. We're only to learn and study to get closer to Allah and to have more faith, to have more yaqeen that this deen is true and real. Everybody understand this? Khairan, inshallah. So therefore it says Babul Madhi, the chapter of Madhi. In other words, is Madhi najis or tahir? It's the first ruling. Is it najis or is it tahir? If it is najis, what happens if it soils if your clothes are soiled by it? Do you have to wash your underwear? Sprinkle water on your underwear? Does it break your wudu? Etc. Now, with regards to a man and a woman, or a man and or a woman, etc. Also, with regards to al-madhi, is it pure? Or is it something that's just unsightly? Something that's considered to be disgusting, but not necessarily Islamically filthy. Something that is looked down upon, mustaqdar, and not necessarily najis. And there's a difference between the what? Between the two. Something being Islamically najis, and then something just being what? Everybody clear on this? Unsightly. Everybody clear on this or not? Also, as we said before in other hadith, and we'll say it again, because it's right here, this chapter and this hadith also pertains to a modern day issue that many people ask about, which is what? Oral sex. With regards to this type of fluid. How can you put your mouth or your face or your tongue or your lips on this type of fluid and it's najis? Or those who say that it's what? No, we said that already. Those who say that it's what? Tahir. That is what? Tahir. Everybody, we wake. I'm not putting in thinking caps. Those who say that it's what, Yusuf? Najis. And then those who say that it's what? Tahir. Everybody saying this? Or those who say that it is najis, but it's khafifa. It's mukhaffafa. That is turned down. The level of najas is not as serious as other things. Everybody understand this? So all these things can be taken from the one chapter heading. Everybody clear on this or not? Right, moving forward. It says here, Hadith Ali radiallahu anhu, قال كنت رجلا مذاء فاستحييت أن أسأل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فأمرت المقداد بن الأسود فسأله فقال فيه الوضوء. Narrate Ali radiallahu anhu, كنت رجلا مذاء. He says, I was a man that had a lot of madhi, abundant madhi. So I asked al-Miqdad ibn al-Aswad, another Sahabi, to ask the Messenger of Allah sallallahu for me, to be my agent. You go ask him, please. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu instructed, fihi al-wudu. He said, make wudu. He said, what? Make wudu. Everybody understand this? Now, with regards to those different types of fluids or discharge, wetness or moistness, etc., that come from the male and the female, or both, then obviously there are reasons behind all of them. When you urinate, there's a reason behind it. Everybody understand this? When a woman menstruates, there's a what? A reason behind it. When she has postnatal bleeding, there's a what? A reason behind it. When a man has semen, discharge, ejaculation, there's a what? A reason behind it. And when a man has pre-ejaculatory fluid, there's also a what? A reason behind it. If a woman has the same, according to some, and others say that she doesn't, it's different. Her wetness or moistness, there's also a what? A reason behind it. It doesn't come from thin air. It's a reason why a person has it or doesn't have it. Everybody clear on this or not? Right. So therefore, al-madhi, as we all know, inshallah everyone is of age, hopefully, bi'idhnillah, mentally and physically. Hopefully we're of age, what? Mentally and physically, now mature, inshallah, mentally and physically mature. And that is that a man has madhi when he's sexually aroused, sexually excited, either thinking about sex, looking at something pertaining to the opposite sex, someone touching him, you touching something else, etc. Everybody understand this? You talk to your wife, she talks to you on the phone, I miss you, I love you, so on and so forth. Everybody clear on this or not? We clear? Tayyib. A man becomes excited. He becomes aroused. He becomes turned on. Any word that you want to mention, horny, whatever you want to say. We have to be clear on this, all right? Like this what? Like this glass, transparent. Everybody understand this? When a man is sexually aroused, sexually turned on, he gets what? Madhi. He gets madhi. It's a fluid that is not pushed and thrown out. It is not ejaculation. It does not cause weakness to the body. Very seldom does it have a smell and an odor. Everybody understand this? It's a specific reason and specific nature of the fluid. And it's important to understand the difference. Especially when we branch off, Salih, and we talk about another issue of waswasa. Waswasa. Or when it's extremely cold outside and you use the bathroom, or before you use the bathroom, when you wake up and your clothes are wet, etc. There's so many different fiqh rulings that come from knowing the distinction between madhi and between what? Mani. Everybody clear on this? So madhi, they say, is odorless, colorless. Everybody clear on this? And it comes from sexual arousal, sexual excitement, and a man doesn't necessarily realize that it comes out. Obviously, that's totally different than mani. Mani has a specific smell. Everybody clear on this? A specific taste, a specific color. It comes out of, or in most cases with healthy people, ejaculation. There are cases when people are sick and ill, and it comes out without ejaculation. And it causes weakness and exhaustion to the body. Everybody understand this? So you know the difference between the what? Between the two. I woke up, I saw my underwear, my pajamas, some wetness. What do I do now? Fajr is about to come in, fasting, cold outside, I have to travel. You're going to fall into so many different what? Hardships by not having the proper what? Fiqh. Everybody clear on this? Whoever Allah wants good for, He gives them what? Fiqh of the deen. Even in your bed, if you're by yourself, which is still a bedroom. You may harm yourself, you may go through a hardship, a difficulty, because you don't have the basic fiqh. It's not mani, but it's only madhi. It is mani and it isn't. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? Tayyib, clear? Yusuf? Khairan? And the same applies with regards to a woman. When a woman is sexually aroused through touch, through sound, through sight, through playing, through fondling, through kissing, through hugging, and she gets a type of wetness and moistness. Everybody clear on this? That is not necessarily considered to be ejaculation or climax. Everybody understand this? It's very important to understand the two. So therefore, this hadith says, "Kuntu rajulan madha'an." I was a man that had a lot of madhi. I was afflicted by it. Whether it was an illness, whether it was a sickness, or whether it was because he had a high sex drive, or he was intimate with his wife often, thinking about his wife, whatever the case may be. And the doctors as well, they mention how some men have no pre-ejaculatory fluid, and some men have an abundance of it. Have a what? An abundance of it. Naturally, just like some women. Women different. Some women like this, and some women like what? Have I done this or not? Tell you. It's very important to understand these fiqh issues. If we're not mature enough, Sheikh, then we should just do what? Close the book. There's no faida, right? The words will fall on what? Deaf ears. We understand this or not? When you get married, Riyadh, you have to know these basic things. Okay? If you get married, Khali, you have to what? You have to know these basic things, Sharif. For the deen, salah, wudu, tahara, talaq, iddah, birth control. List goes on. Contraceptives, the list what? Goes on. And a man withdraws, can she get pregnant? You have to know these things. And also for the purpose of your own happiness in your marriage. What I can and cannot do. What is good, what is bad, what is harmful, what is what? Beneficial. Everybody understand this? So therefore, Ali radiallahu anhu says, رَجُلًا مَذَّاءً. I had a lot of madhi. فَاسْتَحْيَيْتُ. I was too shy, too ashamed to ask the Messenger of Allah. Why not? Because he was married to? Who? Radiallahu anha. He was shy. So he told another companion to do it. Miqdad radiallahu anhu, please ask the Messenger of Allah, what is the ruling on madhi? Does it break my wudu? Is it najis, etc.? The Messenger of Allah, he said in this narration, fihi al-wudu, that you have to do what? Make wudu. In other words, that which is zahir from this one hadith, not all of the hadiths, not which you look into, but that which is zahir, that which is apparent from this hadith, is that madhi does what? Breaks the wudu. Everybody clear on this? Another zahir, faida, or ruling from this hadith is that madhi is not what? It is not najis. It isn't what? It is najis. Based off of all the hadith or just what? Just one hadith. The Prophet said what? Fihi wudu. He didn't say wash, sprinkle, spray. He said it's what? Just wudu. Everybody clear on this? The third faida, or the third ruling, as you mentioned, Sufyan, Ahsan, this hadith, this one hadith proves is that madhi is not what? Laysa? Hadith akbar. إنما هو حدث أصغر. It's minor ritual impurity and not major ritual impurity. He didn't say fihi al-ghusl. He didn't say take a ghusl, make a ghusl. But he only said make what? Wudu. Everybody clear on these rulings or not? So these are the three main points taken from this one hadith. First and foremost, that madhi does what? Breaks wudu. Wudu is broken. Number two, that madhi is what? Pure. It's tahir, and it's not najis. And number three, hadathun asghar wa laysa hadath akbar. It's not what? Major hadith, but it's what? Minor hadith. Everybody clear on this? These are not all the hadiths. These are not all the inscriptions, but this is what's zahir from this hadith. And that's how you start your study. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this or not? Now, with regards to a woman, that goes back to the issue, does a woman have madhi or not? If you say that the wetness and the moistness that a woman has, her vaginal discharge is madhi, then you're going to say she has to make wudu. And if you say that it's different, it's not madhi, then she doesn't necessarily have to make wudu. I'll use other proofs and evidences, but based off of this, everybody understand this or not? So that's the first ruling, which is extremely clear, that it breaks the what? Wudu. Moving forward, is it tahir or not? Based off of this hadith, is what? Tahir. Based off of other hadiths, most of the ulama say that it's najis. And they say it's based off of the hadith that says, اغسل ذكرك وتوضأ. Wash your penis and perform wudu. Another variation of the hadith says, اغسل ذكرك أو يغسل ذكره وأنثييه أو كما جاء أو كما قيل. It says, wash your penis and your testicles. Everybody understand this? And other narrations may mention with regards to sprinkling, so on and so forth. So other variations of this hadith prove that the madhi is what? Najis. Is what? Najis. Everybody understand this? Based off of this hadith is what? Tahir. Everybody clear on this? So those ulama who say that it is najis, first and foremost, they use this hadith. And then they also speak on where does the madhi come from. The same, it says what here? What? It says urethral prostatic discharges. That is connected to what? Urine. Everybody understand this? Let alone the medical jargon, the ins and outs of medicine. What is it composed of? What is this made? What is it made of? And also the narration that clearly says, "Ighsil dhakarak," wash your penis and your testicles. However, those ulama, they say that it's najasa mukhaffafa. And then a person doesn't have to wash his entire penis, all of his testicles, all of his underwear. But he has to only wash what he feels is become soiled by the madhi. Everybody understand this? However you find out, however you notice that. Everybody clear on this? And they also may say to sprinkle. Not ghasl, but rush or radh, nadh. Sprinkle. Like we mentioned in the other hadith about the child's urine, the baby boy. Now, everybody clear on this? And other ulama, they may say that even if it is najis, yu'fa anhu. Or yu'fa an yasirihi. They say that it is najis because it happens so often, like in this hadith. It's difficult, it's a hardship that it's what? No, it's najis, but what? You say yu'fa anhu. If it's a hardship, meaning what? What's the fruit? That you don't have to? No one says you have to make ghusl sharif. Aywa. There's no sprinkling, there's no washing of your underwear, of your private parts, period. Everybody clear on this? As far as it breaking the wudu, different story. Clear from the hadith. Everybody understand this or not? That's the first view. And those views can also be applied to the moistness of a woman's vagina as well. They may say it does break wudu, but it isn't najis. Or it is najis, but it what? You don't have to wash because it's so difficult and hard. It's burdensome. Every 5 minutes, every hour at Masjid here, Hajj, Umrah, traveling, it's a hardship. And that's one of the legal maxims of the deen, is that there's no what? There's no hardship. Moving forward. The next view is that madhi is tahir. It is not najis. And first and foremost, they have different answers with regards to the proofs and evidences used by the first group. They counter their answers or their adillah. They say that number one, the Prophet ﷺ, he told him to wash his penis or sprinkle the water or wash his testicles. They say based off of seeking cure, seeking ilaj, cold water on one's private area, which prevents him from having the same problem, what? In the future. And not because the madhi is what? Najis. But as a means of what? Medicine. If you're having a problem with this, as some people say, you're married, your desires go up. What did they say back in the day? Abu Sharif, take a what? Cold shower. Everybody, the young guys may not know about this. This is a reality. If you have high desires, you're not married, you take a what? What does the cold shower do, Sheikh Khan? Cools you down, inshallah. Some brothers maybe. Others, Allah knows best. If you pour 10 buckets of water on them, only Allah knows. What will be the result? Everybody clear on this or not? So they say that this is tib, this is medicine. And the Prophet ﷺ, he told him to sprinkle the water, to wash his area, to prevent it from happening immediately in the future, even though it's going to happen again eventually. Number two, the second answer is they say that the narrations that say ighsil dhakarak or dhakarahu khunsay, or they say that these narrations are not necessarily sahih. They're not necessarily what? Authentic. And that which is clear and authentic is the wudu. Everybody clear on this? And others, they may say that the madhi is a part of mani. Al-madhi and mani are twins. And they say those ulama, not all of them, as we took in Bulugh al-Maram, those ulama who say that mani is pure, they say that they've contradicted themselves by saying that madhi is impure. Because they say one is directly attached to the other. Last but not least is the concept of when a person has intercourse, what has to be washed and what doesn't have to be washed. If the madhi comes before the mani, the mani is obviously going to be mixed with the what? With the mani. It came out of this, everybody understand this? And a woman's private area is going to be soiled with madhi. With what? Along with the mani. So how can we say that this is tahir and that's najis? What to wash, what not to wash? And that's obviously a clear what? Contradiction and also hardship. It's mashaqqa. Everybody clear on this? So these are the two views of the ulama, the two main views with regards to madhi being pure or being what? impure. And these things can also be applied to a woman as well, which we spoke on before at the Masjid Ansar conference, Disciples of Hadith. Khairan, inshallah. These are very, very important issues. I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow us to have true fiqh and understanding. And I hope that you brothers and sisters can truly appreciate this, the importance and the practicality of knowing and mastering these issues, and how much of a fa'id it can have on your daily life, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you have waswasa, or whether you have any other type of problem or difficulty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, no questions tonight. We'll take some questions tomorrow, hopefully. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala on Thursday, you announce to them it'll be an open Q&A, inshallah. So the questions from tonight, your questions tonight, brothers, Sufyan, do what? Write them down or memorize them, inshallah. Crystal clear, Sheikh Khan? Clear or crystal clear? Alhamdulillah. Shukran. A bit late.